Hey everyone, and welcome to r/ProRevenge, where trust me, today you are in for a treat with this first post by user/Tim1701. In the 90s, I was a technical operator for a radio station. Long story short, I made production elements for them and adverts on top of my other duties. New management came in and decided to only pay me for the tech operator shifts I had done and nothing for the production. First month he was there, I had invoiced for a little over £3,000 and received a £960 check. I ran the overnights, so when midnight came, I moved all my production into a hidden folder in System 32, shut down the servers, threw the breakers, and left. I got a phone call in the morning and was asked to come in for a meeting as I'd left them up the creek. I'd made pretty much 70 to 80% of all the adverts and production. Stingers, idents, montages. The new boss was a butt. He told me I'd damaged the product, which I just laughed at as before he came in, it was a great 80s station and he turned it into a top 40 station you can find up and down the dial. We'll call him Jay. I'd also found out that the sales staff were charging customers £200 for advert production. They were on 10% commission and I was getting £40 for each advert and they pocketed the rest on top of their commission. Bear in mind, the rest of the outsourced ads cost £150 to £200. In the meeting, I laid out my demands. I can restore everything, but I don't only want the money you owe me from the past month. I want the money from the previous adverts your sales staff has pocketed from my work. They essentially made £160 extra from each advert on top of their commission, around £300 to £400 a pop. There's no way we can do that. Well, there's no way I can restore the adverts. Jay, looking at a piece of paper on his desk. We can give you an extra £200 a month. I want the whole amount. Handed him an invoice that totaled a little over £16,000. Jay, with the colour now drained from his face. Jay, you honour that invoice, or you will have to recreate or outsource all of the production. Okay, let me see what I can do. I'll sort something out for your next invoice date. Jay, if I don't walk out of here with the money today, you don't get them back. As soon as you restore them, I'll do what I can do. Jay, I will have no guarantees, and I'm not stupid. A bank transfer today, and we can sort that out right here and now. Jay then phones the head office, and within the hour, I had every penny of it in my account. His face was a picture when he followed me to the server to watch me just move the files over from one folder to another. Yes, they were right under your nose. You'd best go home and get some sleep. No, good luck tonight. Within 5 hours, I was in Spain, where I stayed for 4 weeks. When I got back, I did hear through the grapevine that the sales team were out for blood. Jay bollocked and blamed them for being ripped off, and they all lost their commission for 3 months and just got basic pay to make up for the loss. I'm pretty sure the company made more than enough back from that to pay for my hostage negotiation. I used some of what was left to buy a laptop and started DJing around town for a few years. Back then, it was a rare sight and used to get nerdy types on a night out just hanging around the booth to see what I was doing with a computer in a pub. My friend used to say I looked like I was doing my homework. Now watch and learn, everyone. If you ever need a raise, just make sure you're the only one who knows how to do the job. Works every time, and has been repeatedly proven on this sub. The next post is by user/MWXH. I took the final for an engineering class this morning. Usually, 1 or 2 people will go to the bathroom during class. However, for totally unknown reasons, about half the class needed to use the restroom during the exam. Obviously, a vast majority of them were looking up the answers on their phones. This irritated me, but I just stayed focused and barely finished since it was a hard exam. I remember that there was one particular problem that was only barely related to the stuff we went over in class, where part A was fairly easy, but I had no idea how to do part B. I didn't fret over it too much though, since that was only 5 points out of 100. Well, our professor, who is on the older side and I would have thought was somewhat ignorant of technology, sent us an email just now explaining his diabolical plan to catch cheaters. Many of the students in this class use Chegg, a website that has answers to lots of homework questions if you're not familiar. To be fair, I have an account too, though I only used it for studying and answering homework solutions. Anyway, he explained that he was tired of people going to the bathroom and looking up answers on their phones, so he made the question I mentioned earlier as a trap. He purposely made Part B impossible to solve, and about a month before the final, he got a TA with a Chegg account to ask the exact question, which was distinctly worded to be unique. He then created his own Chegg account and answered the question with a BS solution that seems right at first glance, but is actually fundamentally flawed and very unlikely that someone would make the same assumptions and mistakes independently. He said that out of 99 exams, 14 of them fell for the trap, and that everyone who had this wrong solution on their exam was given a 0, and reported to the university for violating the academic honor pledge they signed on the front. He also sent an email to all the other professors in our department giving them the list of cheaters. And there's plenty of people adding their own stories in the comments down below. In college, master's level heat transfer class, professor gave a problem where the differential equation was impossible to solve. The entire class of master's and PhD candidates came back with the same issue. Professor told all of us to go back and try again. Twice. After the third week of trying, he came back and said he finally tried the problem himself, and it was impossible to solve. Never felt more proud in my college career. I find it weird though, how can you write a test and not double check that you can solve all the questions? Like, surely this is a requirement for teachers that when they write a test, they have to do it and see if it's a reasonable, exam. Our next post, again with an education theme, was submitted by user/RayRayRex. Back in my first year of college, I used to live in a residence on campus with 3 other dudes. 2 of them were cool, shout out to B-Dog and Al, but the third, named David, had a nasty habit of taking things that weren't his and mysteriously forgetting that the object had fallen into his possession. The items he had stolen that were subsequently found in his room included food and snacks, notebooks, vapes, and earbuds, albeit cheap ones. We all complained to our RA, but since they were such small items, we were told that we should just have a house meeting and talk about it with David to have the problem fixed. We had 2 of those, where he claimed, "It all looks so similar, how am I supposed to know which one is mine?" Considering that we all kept our stuff in our rooms, this was obviously BS, but the RA, residence assistant, said unless it was something major, campus police wouldn't launch an official investigation. So we instituted a masking tape policy and marked everything. But lo and behold, he still continued his petty theft. Knowing nothing would happen unless I took action, I planned my revenge. I shelled out around $80 for something similar to this bad boy. It was a USB device that once plugged into an unsecured USB port, fried the computer by building a charge and dispersing it into the port, pretty much destroying the CPU among other parts. Now obviously, I wasn't going to plant this anywhere, but I had to make it seem like this was a tool and not some sort of setup, so I roped B-Dog and Al in on my plan and installed this software called Device Lock, which protects USB ports from being used without express permission from the user on all of our devices. Also, just in case the butthole tried to plug it into our laptops. I even went as far as taping my name to the silicon time bomb. With them roped in, the last thing to do was wait and see if David had learned his lesson. It took all of 3 days, but expectedly, David did not learn his lesson. I was at the library when this happened, but David had decided that this sexy USB would be the perfect addition to his collection of stolen wares. So he went into my room and took it. Big mistake. I got a Snapchat from B-Dog that David was going postal and I needed to get back ASAP. I hightailed it, and when I got near our residence, I could physically hear David swearing and yelling from the hallway. When I got inside, he was cussing and screaming that he was gonna sue me for purposely trying to damage his laptop by booby-trapping a USB. Admittedly, I should have held my composure better, but I laughed in that mofo's face. I told him that the USB was clearly labeled with my name on my desk in my room, and I was using it to test whether my computer ports were secured from devices such as this. Screaming ensued from him, after which our RA showed up. He heard the screaming from down the hall and asked what the hell was happening. I stayed quiet to let David attempt to lie his way out of this, but holy F, the dumb man kept to his story. After explaining my side, the RA said we are both going to campus police as this was pretty serious. Cue me thinking I just effed up my whole future for a stupid act of revenge. When we got there and explained our stories, campus police had none of David's trash. They told him that 1. He cannot sue me since this was not a trap, but a security tool that was within my own living space, of which he had no right entering to steal from. And 2, he was being relocated to the trashy single residences on the other side of the campus. And if they caught wind of this again, he was getting banned for life from residence as well as receiving a non-academic offense. A nice little chat with the dean about his misconduct. His tone immediately flipped to crying and saying he had all his exam notes on there. It was stress that was causing him to do this, and he had paid to live in the nicer dormitory-style housing. But they basically told him, well, that's tough, this is your one and final warning. The 3 of us enjoyed the rest of the semester with an extra bedroom for storage space, and beer pong, which was definitely a win. As for David, I've only ever seen him in the cafeteria and library on occasion, sitting there, studying, without his laptop. Hey look, what can I say, OP in this story is an absolute genius. But with that said guys, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos every second day. But with that said, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later guys.